Hi, welcome to the Whiskey Chicks podcast. My name is Amy.
And I'm Amy's sister, Suzie.
We are going to be talking to you about Whiskey Chicks. You may ask yourself, what in the world is a Whiskey Chick? Well, it's a term our Nana, our grandmother, used to describe anything and everything, like a doodad or a thingamajig.
For our purposes today, Amy and I have framed Whiskey Chicks as those random moments in life that accumulate over time that compel us to grow, learn, and evolve. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, funny, or sad, with each Whiskey Chick comes a lesson, an aha moment, a lotus blooming from the mud and muck, resulting in wisdom and healing.
Whiskey Chicks have brought us both to a place in our lives where we love ourselves and speak our truths. The last thing Nana said to me before she passed on was, "Be true to yourself, little A." That was the nickname she had for me. The angel spoke straight through her in that moment, and I knew I had quite a journey ahead of me. It was that Whiskey Chick, the last Whiskey Chick she delivered, that set me off on an incredible growth journey. She is the force behind this creative endeavor. We dedicate every Whiskey Chick to her. We're grateful you're here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Chicks podcast. I'm Suzie.
And I'm Amy.
And here we are for episode 23.
Wow.
I know, wow. Amy and I have been gone for a couple weeks because we had some life happening. And anyway, that's going to happen, people. We're not great about recording consistently at this time, but perhaps we can work on that. But anyway, today we are going to talk about sometimes how words come flying out of our mouths and the meaning behind them. We'll get into more specifics about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I live in a world where everything I say to someone, their response is, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, and the words can't and the words can't. The word can't.
You've got this.
I do.
Yeah. Can't.
We were just talking about before we started recording how my neurons aren't firing. So, the word can't comes out of people's mouths all the time, and we're going to focus a little bit on the word can't, because there's probably it's probably what they don't actually mean. That's a really popular one. I'm sorry and I can't. Two very popular phrases that come out of people's mouths, and half the time that's not what they mean.
Right. So you have to wonder, like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Where does the I can't come from? Where does the I'm sorry come from? Because it's like when someone says I'm sorry all the time to me, I'm like, what are you sorry for? And they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, you're not even freaking sorry, because there's no need to be sorry. You know, it's like, try saying forgive me.
I think too, it's funny, I just thought of this right now, but the word can I, not just can't, but can, is misused all the time as well. People don't distinguish between may I and can I, right? So can I have that? I don't know. Can you? I mean, the proper grammar is, may I have that? Or may I do this? That's the polite way to say it. And actually it puts the person you're asking, in a position, it softens it a little bit. It's like, can I have that? Well, I don't know. It's just harsher to me, and it's not right. It's like, I don't know. Can you? So
I think my favorite one for that is, and I'm going back to one of my many English teachers in school. When you're like, can I go to the bathroom? They're like, I don't know. Can you? May I go to the bathroom?
Remember the game Mother May I?
Oh my God. Take 2 steps forward. Mother, may I? Oh my God.
We're aging ourselves. Gen X. We're going to do a podcast on Gen X stuff. That's a whole other podcast.
It really is going to be a whole other. just trying to decide if we should do it today, but we're gonna wait. But yeah, the things that you could do before technology. But anyway, yeah, I mean, saying things like may versus can or sorry and not sorry, it's like, it just like, I feel like it instills, I guess, like a version of drama into things. You'd be like, yeah, so I saw that that was on the ground. Could you just try to make sure that, you get it on the shelf? I'm sorry. It's like, it's okay. Just freaking don't be sorry. Just be like, okay,
So let's take the word sorry for a second.
let's unpack sorry.
Let's unpack sorry first. It's in the
Let's sit down with sorry and have some coffee.
So let's go with sorry first. So normally when you say, what is I'm sorry? It's an apology, right? It's another word for an apology. And what happens when you apologize to somebody? What's going on when you apologize? You've done something that maybe hurt somebody, or it was a misstep of some kind or whatever, and you owe someone or an apology. Okay. It's acknowledging that something went wrong, and you're accountable for it, and you're apologizing. And normally when you apologize for something, you're saying, I won't do it again either. I mean, that's kind of the gist of an apology, right? You've acknowledged that you've done something wrong. You're accountable for it. You're verbalizing that apology, and with that, it won't happen again. So sorry is kind of a sorry version of apology, I think. And it's misused all the time. I mean, when, like in your example right now, that person wouldn't say, oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry is like thrown around like crazy, but what's behind that? I'm sorry. What's actually behind that?
I'm going with childhood trauma. I'll take childhood trauma for 500.
Because if we're always saying I'm sorry for things, number one, first of all, is it really something we need to be sorry about? So to flip that over, is it something that you need to apologize for? So is it something we're really sorry about? Or are we just throwing it around because we're trying to keep the peace? We're trying not to stir the pot. We don't want anybody mad at us. We don't like confrontation. What is behind that word? And to use it so loosely and so frequently, it almost puts yourself in the place of being a victim in a way. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, but are you really? And if you're not really sorry, then don't say I'm sorry, because it puts you in a place of giving up some power, some personal power, if that makes sense.
Well, I think too, like, if you notice, like, if you're never like, you need to tell them you're sorry. You always say you owe them an apology. And then you don't apologize. You say, I'm sorry. It's like a conflict of words, So, I mean, if you owe someone an apology for something, that usually is preceded by a heartfelt, dialogue of sorts,
Right.
if you will,
Right.
leading up to saying, and I feel like I'm sorry is just like, if you had like this candle burning of like why you should be sorry, and you're just like, I'm sorry, that just like puts the candle out. It doesn't like, talk to the candle and gently blow it out. It's sort of like just it's an instant like way of just like not even having to discuss the reasoning for the saying I'm sorry. You're just like, I'm sorry, and that's the end of it. There's no like meaning behind it. And I think, for me, I think that comes from a lot of childhood stuff, because I screwed up a lot as a kid. Like I got into stuff and I misbehaved a lot, and it was just, in my nature to say I'm sorry is like a knee-jerk reaction to everything. And I wasn't sorry because I had a good time doing the crap I was doing. uh, I don't think we learn lessons from saying I'm sorry because
We don't.
there's no like I said, there's no dialogue involved in it, you know.
No, and don't say you're sorry if you're not. I mean, if you've done something out of good intention and sincerity, and it's something that is coming from your truth, there's nothing to be sorry about, even if it hurts somebody. You know, nobody wants to hurt anybody. But you know what? That happens. It happens. I mean, there's no getting around it. But don't apologize for something that's coming from your truth. I mean, if you haven't caused like true physical harm or whatever, you know, don't be sorry about it. I mean, because you're apologizing for something that is sincerely coming from your authentic self and your truth, which we talk a lot about on this podcast. It's the driving force behind it. So there's no reason to be sorry or to apologize, because that means you've done something wrong and you're not going to do it again. But if you're coming from your truth, it's not wrong. Right?
Right, but I also think there's a way of wording it right, because it's like you can do something for yourself for your, you know, that might offend someone else, which by the way isn't entirely your responsibility, because it's also how the other person receives it and whatever their story is and their trauma or whatnot. But if you go through the process of explaining to someone why you feel that way, and then you say I'm sorry, you might as well not say anything. You might as well just say
Exactly.
I'm sorry, because you're just giving the power to that person. And that's not, I'm not saying like you're trying to take power from someone else. I mean, if you legitimately feel bad for something you have said or done to someone, then own it and apologize and express that you've learned and grown from it and that hurt was not intentional. I mean, there's thought behind an apology, and I'm sorry is just a quick bullshit way of getting out of something, and it means nothing to me, in my opinion. Now where we're at in life, at the stage of life of evolution and authentic self and standing in truth and tra la la, I'm sorry, and I do still say it. I catch myself all the time saying it, but you know, it's like people say I'm sorry for the like. I'll be standing at work with a clipboard ordering freaking apples, and someone drops a mushroom on the ground. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Really?" Like, what? Oh my god, you should be sorry. That just to
The
me is,
mushroom's dead.
yeah, it's no, I can't sell it. Then I'm like, 5-second rule. But anyway, seriously. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it happens for something as simple as that. And it just makes me very aware of how we use the word sorry like the word when we talk.
Exactly. And half the time it's on the defensive, right? Like the example you gave a little earlier. I'm sorry. You know, it's like, excuse me. You know, it's like you're not sorry. You're being defensive, you know, and you're put out by the fact that, um, you know, you had a little mishap, and like all of a sudden now you're on the defense and you say, well, I'm sorry. You know, it's like apologies are supposed to be sincere, and they shouldn't be given on the defense and used in kind of a flip way like that. So
Makes me think about how messed up that board game Sorry is.
I was just thinking about that.
You're like competing against, what is it, 3 or 4 other people, and there's this energy of anxiety around how you see someone coming towards you with their little plastic piece, and then they like physically like knock you off the board, so you have to go all the way back, and then they go sorry,
But they're sorry, not sorry, right?
it's
I mean, because
messed up.
it's a point. It's the point of the game is to do that. So you're not sorry. You're trying to win. right? So sorry, not sorry. So it's a sorry name for a game.
It's a marketing tool to sell board games, But yeah, I just think like here we go again. I mean, we cyclically talk about things are if you've listened to all of our episodes, if you will hear us repeating things in episodes because it's all connected, it's all intertwined, it's all part
Mm.
of the growth and the journey. But I think with episodes like this, we're really digging into some specifics. And so, on the oh my god, on the flip side of I'm sorry, on the flip side of I'm sorry, another thing is when you say I can't, oh my god, I can't. Hey Susie, would you mind grabbing that? I can't. No, I can't. Oh my god, no, I can't. That's just like, now I'm in a cartoon, right? But saying can't, someone says I can't, that completely says I won't. Like they have no willingness to do it. They're not even going to try. It's just they've just shut down. Just like sorry, it's like I can't. Just saying.
Yeah. So most of the time, can't means won't. So it's an opportunity for someone to be accountable to what they truly mean. Because if someone asks you to go somewhere to do something and it's not something that appeals to you, or you don't want to do it or whatever, don't say I can't, because the true answer is that you won't. You just because it doesn't sound good to you, or maybe you're tired or whatever, just say, thank you so much, but I'm feeling kind of tired, I'm going to pass. Oh no, I can't. It's like, is it can't or is it won't? Are you saying I can't because you just don't fricking want to do it, or which is it? So, and there are circumstances where maybe you really are not able to do something, and that, that's valid. But oftentimes people say I can't when they just won't do it. That's what they mean. That's where they're coming from, is I won't. It's like,
well, it's like what we just said with saying I'm sorry versus I apologize. It's like I can't or I'm unable, right? The I can't just puts it out. The unable comes with the dialogue of speaking your truth and standing in your power. No, thank you, but I'm not able to do that. And you can say whether or not, but it sounds more respectful on the ears when you do that. It indicates to the other person that you've put some thought into it, even though they might not be hearing what they want to hear or whatever. But I can't. But what's interesting? So I've seen this several times, probably on Instagram somewhere, where let's say you're laying in bed in the morning, and it's like your Wednesday, right? You're like, oh my god, and you open your eyes, but having the mindset of like, I get to get out of bed, I get
right.
to get up and make myself coffee, I get to go to work. You know what? You get to be alive today. That's awesome. Like be grateful for that. So instead of just rolling around being like, oh my god, I can't get up, I'm like, yes, you can. You can. You get to. You're alive. You're breathing. Let's go. If things hurt, that's, you're alive to feel pain. So, I mean, I just think that that's also significant too, is for the I can't. But.
Or along that same vein, let's say you wake up and you're tired, you didn't get a good night's sleep or whatever, and maybe you wanted to exercise. I can't. I just can't. I'm too tired. No, you're choosing to not exercise. You won't. And that's okay. But just say, I'm going to choose not to exercise today because I don't freaking feel like it. It's not that you can't. You can. But be accountable and honest about the reason. It's okay. It's same thing. It really comes down to accountability and just being truthful. about the reason, because the truth is you can do it. There are other reasons why you don't want to, or so anyway.
I think the most important exercise of the day are coffee curls. Up, down, mug to mouth. I don't know. That's just me.
Depending on the size of your mug, it's good for your biceps.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
and also, um, the positive version of can't, can. The other thing that cracks me up, and I'm very mindful about this, but when people oftentimes they'll just say, "Can I do this?" or "Can I have that?" Can I? Can I? Can I? And that's not the real question. Of course, I don't know. Can, like we were talking about earlier, I don't know. Can you? Can you go to the bathroom? I don't know. If you're asking a question, it's not can, it's may, which is far more polite and easier on the ears for sure. And it's a proper use of the word, Um, but because can I, na, 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 I don't know. It doesn't sound the same as may I, blah, blah, because it gives, I don't know, may just gives the person you're asking, um, I don't know what I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like you're giving them a softer, easier way to respond to you. I don't know, because it sounds so much more polite. And honestly, I think you will get further and receive what you're asking for if you use the word may as opposed to can, because it just comes out so much nicer and more polite. And the person on the receiving end goes, you know what? Yeah. Because you just ask nicely. The energy is different. I don't know. That's just.
Yeah. So in my work environment, this is something I've been very mindful of for a while. Especially when I'm in an environment right now at work where I have a lot in my brain of things that need to get done, and I try to be very good about delegating it out. And instead of looking at my team and being like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" Like they'll float by. I'm like, "Hey, if you have time, would you mind like doing this for me?" It's just like that word. It's so much more respectful to
Mhm.
someone, because it's not like you're barking orders at them. You're
Exactly.
involving them. You're reeling them into a respectful conversation, because I do respect all the people that I work with, and we're all on the same team. But it's like, and we're all busy. But when I see someone walk by, I'm like, "Hey, are you busy right now? Like, would you mind just doing this for me real quick? I'd really appreciate it." And so I'm like, "Hey, can you blah, blah, blah. Can you? Just like, I just feel like when they hear can, they're going to, or, it's like they don't want to be asked that way. I wouldn't want to be asked that way. That's why I don't talk to people like that. But
No, it's a great example of how your words or your choice of words, even though it gets the same message across, it completely changes the energy of how you're asking the question. And it changes the energy of the interaction between the two people. Just with choice of one word, two words, maybe. I mean, it's amazing how that works. Um, but can you da da da? It just like you said, it sounds like you're barking orders, or it's just you're more apt to put the person out. The person will feel put out and will not want to do what you're asking them to do. It just, like you said, it just doesn't sound as respectful. But you can totally change the energy with your word, but by choosing one or two words. You know what I mean? Like choosing between, may I, can I can't, versus I'm unable, and here's why, or whatever, or I apologize, or no, I'm sorry. I mean, it's amazing how we can really change the way we communicate with each other and how messages are received just by choosing between a couple of words. I mean, it totally changes the energy of the conversation.
and I also believe, because it's happening for me, feel like, when you become more mindful of how you spell out words, right? Those of you Wiccans out there, spelling, putting the words out, spells have that effect on people. But it's amazing once you become more mindful of how your words come out, saying, may I, or I apologize, or would you, it becomes just as easy as saying I'm sorry and I can't. And it's just, you
Mm-hmm.
just have to rewire your brain. And we talk about that all the time because that's all Amy and I have been doing for the last handful of years. We have literally like become our own spiritual certified electricians on rewiring our brains and how we are outwardly to the world. And as a result, I realized that I am like this amazing person that is worthy of love and all this stuff, nothing negative. And it's so strange, like once you really get into that, and it's a lot of work, but like when things happen for you, they don't, you don't take them personally, and they're not upsetting, and you don't feel like the world owes you anything. It's like, yesterday I got turned down for something huge, and I thanked the guy, and I was like, hey, I'm being protected, I can't be upset about that. It's not my deal right now. So it's it's really just about how we just sit with things for a second and think about like what things mean when they're happening, and that we should be grateful for everything, for everything that is amazing that happens, for every challenge that we get, for every pain that we have. It all has a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a personal attack on you. So, I have to think for a second how different my life would have been growing up if, and I may be a little blunt here in saying this, where, when I would do something wrong, if there was a conversation between the adult and the child where it was like, can you just explain to me why you did this? Like, and open up that conversation of like getting the reasons why out, right? I'm pretty sure 90% of the crap I pulled as a kid was because I wanted attention.
Yeah.
And then the only attention I got was not positive because I did a negative thing to get the attention. And you just kind of get like stuck there with that. And now it's like I have people that come up to me just randomly saying like, you helped me last week and you were just so nice and blah blah blah, and I really appreciate it. And I was like, first I'm like, who are you? And I'm like, well, thanks, because I see so many people. But I'm just saying, like, being mindful about how you speak to people is better for your soul. It keeps you in check with the universe. It keeps you on a path moving forward in your higher authentic self. And that really is the reason why we're here, is to figure that all out, to be that soul.
And the more you do that, the you'd be surprised at what comes back to you in return. Positive energy, um, little synchronicities, because what you put out, you get back. And the more positive you can be, and the more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like we really are all one. We really are. We're all connected. Our energy is connected. And the one person at a time, the more that we can foster positive language, positive energy, positive communication, some understanding, um, some empathy toward others, the more we're going to change the way we all work as a society together, and that's a huge undertaking. But even if you can just practice that in your own inner circle, and starting with watching the way you use "I'm sorry" or "I apologize" or "I can't" versus something you don't want to do or you won't do. Um, can I versus may I? Just taking little steps like that, just starting to become more aware of the words you use and the meaning behind them, or what is the true meaning behind what you're trying to say. I mean, just baby steps like that will make a huge impact if we all just kind of start to do little things like that.
I think that's a great place to end for today.
I do too.
I think that's
was
a
just
great
thinking that.
punctuation mark for ending today. So what do you got for homework for everybody?
Pretty much just what I said. You know, the moment you want, if something kind of puts you off, like, just try to stop yourself. Don't say, I'm sorry. Ask yourself, do I need to say I'm sorry? Do I need to say I apologize? Or do I need to, you know, choose different words or create a dialogue or whatever, but just watch your use of I'm sorry. And when you're asking for something, say, may I instead of can I? Because we all know you can. And try to also watch your words or watch the use of I can't. I mean, stop yourself and say, I can do this. I just don't want to. And give the real reason why you won't, if that's the case. So just around those three things, just try to start stopping yourself before they come flying out of your mouth.
Put the brakes on. Put the brakes on before you crash.
Say, excuse me, I'm having a brain fart. I just need to, I'm having a short circuit. I need to rewire. Hold on. I'll respond in a second.
I need to reset the fuse. Hold on a second. Let's try this again. Take 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's great. Okay, so we're going to end here for now, and just want to thank you for listening and being here on this journey with us. We are so grateful for you, and we will see you in our next episode. But for now, we know what old Nana would say.
Be true to yourself.